Oh, hello YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am doing my mid-Smutty September wrap-up. So far this Smutty September, I have been knocking it out of the park with my picks. They have been pretty good overall. Like, I don't really have a lot of complaints about anything, so I'm just excited. Let's just gush about some books, because I don't really got anything to whine about this time. Well, whine, never mind. I'm sorry about the puns. First category is Tainted Love, and I got one of them. I read A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. Oh my goodness gracious, 5 stars. This is gonna probably be on my top books of the year list. It's so good. You have very unreliable narrators. You have this twisted relationship. Thriller, murder, what's the truth, like, and you know, there's unreliable narrators. You never really know, is the magic real, or is someone just experiencing a psychotic break? You never, sometimes throughout the book, it's very ambiguous. Basically, we're following Felicity, and she is a young woman. She goes to this very, like, ritzy boarding school, like a very literature-focused school for all girls, and the school has this, like, history of the Dalloway Five, which are like these 5 girls in like olden times, I don't know, like Puritan era, who were all killed because they thought they were witches or mysterious circumstances, etc. So there's like a history of witchcraft at this school. And Felicity is a big believer in these witches. She's obsessed with them. And all throughout the story, like is like weird coincidences and stuff that you're like, is the magic real, or is she having a psychotic break? We're not 100% sure at any given moment. And I think that's where a lot of the fun of the book comes from. But I didn't even get to the main part of like the juicy drama of this book. It's a sapphic romance. So in comes Ellis, this like literature wunderkind kid, and she shows up and she meets Felicity, and obviously they have this really, I don't know, codependent, toxic, like manipulative relationship with each other, and they get really into like murder and black magic and witchcraft and stuff, so you're like, ooh, this is gonna end poorly. And it just takes a lot of turns you're not expecting it to take, and you're just like, wait, what? Like the ending of this, girl, the ending, oh my, I'm not even gonna say a word about it, because it's just a lot, and it's a good a lot, and it was so good. Dark academia, sapphic, spooky, unreliable narrators. It's like a really good book. I'm like, it would have been perfect for October for like spooky book month, but like, you know what? It's still technically a romance, even though it is a toxic one. So I'm glad I read it. I'm so good. Next category is historical romance, and I read 3 of them. I read Lady Chatterley's Lava by D.H. Lawrence. By the way, I am incapable of saying Lady Chatterley's Lava in any other tone of voice. This is going to be my next episode of Drunk Classics. The video's coming out at the end of the month. I'll put the date up on the screen here. And I'm not going to get into a full review here, but I did read this. I guess if I was going to sum it up into a sentence, it's a series of increasingly poor decisions being made with their genitals. It's genital-based bad decisions for like 300 pages. There you go. And I drank a lot of wine and I read this, so come watch Drunk Classics with me. It's gonna be a fun time. It'll be premiering that day, so I'll be there. We can chit-chat. It's gonna be a good time. I also read The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. And honestly, this is one of the most bizarre things I've ever read. But I kind of mean it in a good way. It was just so different than what I thought I was gonna get. Because, you know, you see the cover, ladies, scoundrels, Wisteria Society. I'm expecting like Victorian era, historical romance, lady scoundrels, maybe some thievery I was expecting. And all that stuff's in the blurb too, so it's all stuff I was expecting to happen and was excited to see happen. And also in this book, it does all that and then takes a left, because also there are magic spells, and these women are pirates who use a magic spell to literally make their houses fly, like airplanes, but they're houses, and they're pirate ship houses, and they have like cannons in the windows, and it's like a pirate ship but made out of their house in the sky. There you go, guys. Unexpected twists and turns are taken here. And there's witchcraft, and they make mention of vampires and werewolves at one point. There's none in this book, but they make mention of it. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, I was not expecting this weird world that this book takes place in. But anyway, we're following Cecilia and Ned. Cecilia, she is kind of a junior member of the Wisteria Society, and she has this evil guy who's after her, and he hires Ned Lightburn. He is, you know, kind of a scoundrel with a heart of gold, kind of pirate captain guy, and, you know, also very much not threatened by strong women, so I kind of like him. And they end up kind of teaming up together to defeat the bad guys, you know, stick it to the man, so to speak. And, you know, and they have like a little romance with each other amongst all the piracy and gunfights and like kidnappings and flying houses. Like, so much happens here. But overall, I liked it quite a bit. I gave it like 4 stars just because it's so bizarre. Certain things just didn't make sense in here. And then I felt silly for being bothered by certain things not making sense. Like, for example, like the women are very hung up on propriety of the Victorian era. So like it's very prim and proper, but at the same time, they're pirates who fly their houses in the sky. So like, I'm like, why are they being bothered being prim and proper? And then I was like, why is that the part that's too weird for me? You know, it also has flying houses. So I guess it's just a matter of suspending disbelief and if you can do it for everything in the book. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun ride. It was definitely unexpected and I had a good time with it. I also read The Beast of Bessick by Emily Howard. And this one was one I was hyping up in my head super hard. In the end, I did give it 4 stars as well. I thought it was pretty darn good. So you have Astrid and Nathaniel. Astrid, she's like, okay, this creepy guy is trying to marry my sister and I'm not gonna have it. I've gotta save her. You know what I gotta do? I gotta go get married to someone who outranks the creepy guy. So she walks up to Nathaniel, the Duke, and she's like, hey, listen, Duke, we should get married. Here are reasons why. And the thing with the Duke, though, he is a war hero, so he has a lot of scars like on his face and his body from the war. So he's a bit of a recluse at this point and a bad attitude, you know, because he has scars on his face. Like, it's understandable. He's a scarred Duke with a dark past, and I love him. So eventually, she just kind of doesn't take no for an answer, and she's just like, well, I live in your house now with my sister. You're taking care of us, and you're protecting us from the bad guy. Sorry, I live here now. She's very forceful and she gets what she wants, and Nathaniel just has to kind of go along for the ride here. But I did enjoy seeing the relationship grow, and it does have like a dash of Beauty and the Beast vibes. Obviously, Beast is in the title, but it's such like a little dash that it doesn't bother me. And also it's completely different because like the beauty in this story, Astrid, literally just moves into his house and she makes him accept it. It's not like she's kidnapped. She moves there of her very own volition. And I feel like that solves a lot of the problems I have with Beauty and the Beast retellings in general. And then things go from there, and you know, they defeat the bad guy and they just have all of the sex through all of the book. There's a lot of like smutty delights in here. It was fun. I gave it 4 stars. Next category is contemporary romance, and I read 3 of them. I read Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This one I ended up giving like 4.25 stars. I had a lot of fun with this. I think it was like a little bit above 4, but maybe not quite 5. I had a fun time with it though. So this is like a romance very much based in fan fiction. So you have April. She's a plus-size woman. She is also super into this show. It's like a show a la Game of Thrones, let's say, and she's really into that. She like writes fanfic for it. She cosplays. One day she's like, you know what, I'm done hiding. She puts a picture of her in a cosplay for one of the characters in the show. Ends up going a bit viral, and people are not being nice to her, and it gets the attentions of Marcus. Marcus is the lead actor from that show, and he's just like, hey, April, let's go on a date. I think you're cool. But little does April know, Marcus also writes fanfic, also is really smart, also has a lot of issues with how the show is, so he's writing a lot of fix-it fic, and then he goes out with April and he realizes, oh my gosh, they're like fanfic besties. They've been writing to each other for like 2 years. Fanfic friends, and then she doesn't know that it's him, and then he knows that it's her, so he's like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? It's nerd love at its fullest. And then things kind of progress from there. I'm not gonna get into the whole plot, but this book does do a lot of things very well. Both the characters are very soft people. Like, I feel like it's 2 cinnamon rolls in love, and I like that. I don't always need like someone macho. I like that he's like soft and sensitive and nice. And April's also kind of soft and sensitive and nice. And also, it does go into, you know, body issues and body confidence and all of that, because, you know, April is a plus size woman, and, you know, the world isn't always the best place for plus size people. So it does go into those issues, but it does it in a very, I don't know, insightful, sensitive way that I feel resonates well. Like, I've seen other books with plus size heroines, but like so much of those books in particular are just focused so much on their body issues that it stops being fun and kind of just beating you over the head with this. And like, don't get me wrong, like, she might have body issues, but like, I like to think this character has more than one thing, and April does. She has a lot of different things going on in her character. She, you know, she has issues with her body sometimes, but overall she's like, I like my body and I like myself. And I'm like, yeah, you get it, April. I like you too. So there's a lot of things about self-respect, mutual respect, cinnamon rolls in love, smutty delights, fanfic, like nerdy stuff. It's like I got a lot of things going on here. This is like the literary equivalent of fresh baked cookies. You know what I mean? They came right out of the oven. They're still a little gooey, and you're just like, Same thing with this book. It's a fresh baked cookie of a book. It's very comforting and fun and delicious, and I had a really good time with it. I think it's worth the read. I also read the Dating Playbook by Farah Rashan, and I was super pumped for this one. And you know, in the end, it did a little bit underperform. I ended up giving it like 3.5 stars, so it's not bad, but it's not as good as I was hoping it would be. So we're following Taylor and Jamar. Taylor is she's like a young woman. She is running her own fitness business, but she's also having a lot of money issues. So she's trying her best to make it on her own, but things aren't going well. Enter Jamar, former NFL star. He blew out his knee and he's looking to try to make a comeback in the NFL, but he needs a trainer. So he's like, hey, Taylor, you should be my personal trainer. Thing is, no one can find out I'm doing that because it's gonna hurt my chances. So like, hey, we gotta keep this secret. And she's like, fine. And of course they end up getting caught, and she's like, we're dating, I'm his girlfriend, hello, we're dating now. And then fake dating ensues. However, fake dating is like just not working, because obviously these two have so much sexual tension between them that fake dating turns into real dating, obviously. There was some issues, I guess, just with the pacing and the plotting of the book, because they have like some storylines where it just kind of, I don't know, nothing ever really got deep in here. Like there's some like, you know, dark past issues a bit, but none of it's really explored enough for me to feel like it went far enough. It's kind of just like medium level deep. It didn't get into that core. So, you know, it's like kind of, it could have done more with that. The pacing is like a little off at times. And, you know, maybe it's just me in particular, but I felt like so much of this story is about fitness and how Taylor is like having this guy exercise nonstop, constantly talking about healthy eating. All of this stuff is very kind of extreme training and fitness stuff. I feel like, you know, maybe it might be triggering to people who are recovering from disordered eating. I don't know if that's you. Maybe don't read this right away. It was so much of the book was focused on that it was a little distracting from the story, just getting beaten over the head with quinoa, and it's like, ugh, like, you know what? I could lose a couple pounds, but you know what I could also do? Eat a burrito. And honestly, the burrito's gonna make me a lot happier. So there you go. There's my diet advice. And I don't know. I just felt like, you know, it was so, it just wouldn't let up on it that I felt like it would be triggering for people who have disordered eating problems. So I don't know. It just was rubbing me a wrong way, I guess. And honestly, not as smutty as I was hoping. I mean, it's a little smutty, but like, I'm just saying they could have banged way more than they did. Last up, I read Isn't It Bromantic by Lissa K. Adams, and oh, this was delightful. I ended up giving it 4 stars as well. However, like, does it have a few issues? Yes. But is it adorable? Yes. I'll get into both of those. So this time we're following Vlad, the Russian, and he's been in all of the other books of the Bromance Book Club series. However, he has been the character, like, there's been a lot of cheese-based digestive fart jokes at his expense throughout the whole series, and now he's the romantic lead. It's like, really, the fart guy? So they have to, like, you know, make him into a romantic lead without the farts. How are they gonna do this? Enter Elena, his wife, and they've been kind of estranged for a long time. They were kind of childhood friends. They got married, and I think a part of it was also to get Elena out of Russia. So it's a bit arranged, and they haven't seen each other. It's kind of a strained marriage. And Vlad is basically an enormous hockey player man, but also like the gooeyest core. You know what I mean? He's the softest, like, most sensitive guy in the world. And like, I feel like he's like, if a kitten became a hockey player. He's just so soft and nice all the time, obsessed with cheese. You know, there's worse things to be in life. So it's about he and Elena making it work, and, you know, finally being honest with each other, confronting your own issues, and, you know, falling in love with your wife and your husband, essentially. And I love all that. It's really fun. I love the guys' dynamic. All the guys' friendships are so tight. There's no toxic masculinity in these books. All of that is on point. Loved it. My only, like, gripe with the book is that it was kind of all over the place. There's like this whole side plot with Elena. She's trying to be a reporter, and she's investigating sex trafficking. So it's a big deal. And that's like a big thing in the beginning of the book. And then she like goes to Vlad because Vlad is injured. She goes to like nurse him and stuff. And then like nothing is done with that for like the next like 80% of the book. First 10% has the story, 80% none of the story. End of the book has the story again. So it's just like, why introduce it when it went nowhere, kind of, and like not like she was spending so much time not doing anything to help these people, and like how are we supposed to think that she was really dedicated to this, because she just like up and dropped the whole story and went to go help Vlad. Mind you, her going to Vlad helps the romantic angle of the story, but it doesn't help her own story and like the big like case she's investigating. So like I was just like, wait, so many times in the book I was just wondering what is happening with those women she's trying to save. She just like up and left one day. Like, what's happening with that? And then, you know, finally they bring it back at the end, but I was like, oh my gosh, why did you just forget about it? It's like, oh shit, I forgot, let's write some in. And realistically, I feel like this should have been something the character was doing the whole time she was with Vlad, because that would have made more sense to me. And it was just something like that just ruined my disbelief. You know, suspension of disbelief was, I couldn't suspend it essentially, because I was so confused about why this was a plot point when nothing was being done with it. But anyway, it still had all those cute things that I really enjoyed, so I ended up giving it 4 stars, because did I enjoy it? Yeah. Does it need to like have more data put into it? Yes. But it's a great series. I love the Romance Book Club. So that does it. That's all I've read so far in September. It's been 7 books, so I've been a little reading machine. Mind you, Smutty Delights just go so fast, don't they? They're just easily readable, so I feel like I just like plow through them so quickly. Let me know in the comments down below. What are you doing for Smutty September? I haven't really checked in on you guys yet. Have you been reading any Smutty Delights? If so, what have you been reading? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon.